Greetings, my name is Joel H. Figueroa. I'm a current Master's of Rehabilitation student at the University of Texas at El Paso. Today, we are going to learn about Erikson's psychosocial theory of human development. Erikson believed human development was processed in stages and considered himself a Freudian, but Erikson's idea was different from Freud's in two different aspects. As stated in the Smart Book on page 79, 1. Erikson de-emphasized biological sexual conflicts in favor of psychosocial conflicts. And 2. Erikson provided a lifespan perspective was from birth to death, while Freud believed development was complete when sexual maturation or late adolescence was achieved. Erikson was born in Frankfurt, Germany in 1902 to a Danish woman whose family was Jewish. He never knew his biological father, and when his mother married his German pediatrician at the age of 3, he took his stepfather's surname, Hamburger. However, when he became a U.S. citizen in 1939, he changed his name from Eric Hamburger to Eric H. Erikson, which means Eric, son of Eric. He was a professor at the University of California in Harvard, despite never earning a college degree. He wrote biographies of Gandhi and Martin Luther King, whom he thought were highly developed individuals. Some of his work as a prolific writer includes seminal works such as Childhood and Society, Insight and Responsibility, and Identity, Youth and Crisis. Erikson died May 12, 1994 in California. Erikson's theory was composed of three components: epigenic stages, psychosocial, and polar opposites. He believed humans progressed through 8 sequential epigenic stages and that individuals did not achieve maturation but matured through every stage. Erikson proposed that individuals work to resolve conflicts with society around them. For this reason, his theory of development is labeled psychosocial. The conflict of the individual with society is termed a crisis. And instead of viewing crisis as something bad or something to avoid, he believed humans grew and thrived by resolving these types of crises. In each stage, individuals are presented with qualities that are polar opposites. One quality is very idealistic and optimistic and communicates positive growth and is labeled syntonic, while the other quality is pessimistic and labeled dystonic for communicating losses. Erikson's psychosocial theory was composed of 8 stages which increase in complexity: infant, toddler, preschooler, grade schooler, teenager, young adult, middle-aged adult, and older adult. The first stage is infancy. This stage occurs between birth and approximately 2 years of age. According to Erikson, this stage of psychosocial development is the most important period in a person's life. The most important relationship one has is with the caregiver, usually the mother. In this relationship, the infant learns trust or mistrust. If the infant is properly taken care of, the child will learn trust. However, if the child feels abandoned or neglected, the child develops mistrust. Adults who develop trust are able to consider the needs of others, while some mistrust is also needed to help avoid the individual from becoming gullible and easily taken advantage of. The second stage is toddlerhood. This stage occurs between the ages of 2 to 3 years of age. During this stage, children develop basic motor abilities, which gives them some degree of independence. This stage is known as the autonomy versus shame and doubt stage. They think they could do certain things alone and depend on someone else for other things, which is known as dilemma of freedom. During this stage, fantasy play is also essential to facilitate the toddler's social, intellectual, and emotional development. The third stage is initiative versus guilt between 3 and 4 years old. In this stage, children will show desire to take initiative in activities. They set goals within their moral structure at this stage, as well as developing a conscience. However, if these goals are not met, the child develops guilt. At this stage, the individual will more than likely encounter both crises. which are initiative and guilt, in order to accomplish his or her specific goal. Play is also very important during this stage in which children develop their own gender identification. The fourth stage, middle childhood, begins when the child begins school around the age of 6 until he or she returns 12. Children need to learn to work with others. School becomes work for children and they must learn a wide range of tasks, including reading, writing, and mathematics. During this stage, children are likely to develop industry and inferiority. They develop a sense of competence and believe that with hard work, they will accomplish whatever they set their minds to do. However, children learn at different paces, and if some tasks take them longer to learn than their peers, they might experience inferiority, which is a sense of failure. The fifth stage is adolescence, which begins during the teenage years. During the identity versus identity confusion stage, the biggest question is, who am I? As stated in the Smart Book, page 85, Erikson believed that identity is the integration of all previous identifications and self-images, including negative ones. The sixth stage is early adulthood, or intimacy versus isolation. This stage is considered to take place somewhere between the mid-20s through the late 30s. During this stage, individuals might develop intimate relationships and experience the virtue of love, resulting in long-term commitments or even marriage. However, if that is not the case, individuals can become isolated and stay away from meaningful relationships. The seventh stage is late adulthood, or generativity versus stagnation stage. According to Erikson, the lifespan during this stage ranges from ages 34 to 60. This is the stage where the individual focuses on a career, establishes intimate relationships, and begins a family. Through generativity, adults promote and guide those who follow by parenting, teaching, or simply doing things to benefit their communities. However, if the individual feels they have done nothing for the next generation, they encounter stagnation. The eighth and last stage is late adulthood, also known as the integrity versus despair stage, ages 60 and up. This is the time when individuals try to make meaning of their lives. Individuals reflect on life, whether it was meaningful, productive, and happy, developing a sense of integrity. If they feel disappointed and have regrets or unfulfilled goals, the individuals will often feel despair. Older adults want to leave some type of legacy through their children, grandchildren, or their past work. Life is subjective to one's own goals in life by their own method of measurement. Erikson's theory proposes that humans have a lifelong potential to grow and develop. He based his theory on personal observation rather than empirical research. He believed that any crisis was resolvable during its present stage and that positive growth was possible at any stage. His use of polar opposites is often questionable, but he believed that in order to achieve a certain stage of development, there had to be a balance between both conflicts. Erikson's theory is useful for teaching, parenting, self-awareness, dealing with conflict, and generally for understanding oneself and others. Most people with disabilities are able to complete many of Erikson's stages, with many of them actually surviving longer into middle and old age, in particular those with congenital disabilities. Not only do they have to complete the developmental stages, but they have to manage their disability, avoid secondary complications, take care of other symptoms, and all while trying to have the best quality of life. However, some people with disabilities may modify, put off, or simply give up on some of the endeavors in certain developmental stages. But not all people with disabilities accomplish every stage. As time went by, the Americans with Disabilities Act began to shape the integration into all social settings of people with disabilities. This allowed Erikson's paradoxical psychosocial stages to be incorporated with people with disabilities, either accomplishing all stages or only some, due to their developmental stage.